Hello, my name is Stephanie. Welcome to Edible Thoughts Makes. This is my channel where I talk about works in progress, finished projects, maybe things I'm cooking up, funny things the kids say, and I hope you find some inspiration along the way. So today I have several works in progress to share with you. I have a few finished projects that I'd like to share with you too, and just some thoughts about things. It has been so busy here with Thanksgiving so late into November this year, and then December 1st hitting us right on Sunday, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Yeah, today is Friday, December 6th. We will see if this episode gets loaded up today or tomorrow, just depending on how finicky the internet wants to be and how many things I need to edit in or out. Let's see, what should we start with? I have a lot of socks to show you. Let's see. We will start with, let's see what's in here. I had made this sock project bag. I guess it doesn't have to be socks, whatever fits in here. Earlier in the fall to go with Denise of Earth Tones Girl Falling Leaves sock knit along. It kind of just went with it, don't you think? And these socks I started during that knit along but didn't finish. Let's see if I can find the... I did finish one sock and I tried it on and it fits so nice. And this yarn is so soft. The lighting is pretty good today, so you can see that here. I did a contrast toe and contrast cuff, but I didn't change it out for the heel. You can see all of my stitch markers there, marking each repeat. I always put more than less because I want to give myself the best chance of having the second sock match. So here is the second one. These are knit from cuff down with a really beautiful textured top, a stockinette bottom. See the start of this one here. I am knitting them in magic loop with long circular knitting needles. Here's the yarn again. I showed it in a previous episode, but lighting is really nice today, so you can see all those beautiful complex colors in there. So I am plugging away at that. I really enjoy keeping my projects in these separate bags because it keeps my pattern in there. I print out my pattern. My eyes get really tired looking at a screen, so I really prefer printing out a pattern. And then also if there's different sizes, I can just highlight the sizes that I need. I also don't like always having to rely on my phone because if my phone died or something, then I couldn't access the pattern. So I prefer having the printout. But yes, having everything in one project bag just keeps all of my projects organized. Right. Another pair of socks I'd like to share with you. They are the R&R Socks. The R&R stands for Rest and Rejuvenation. They are by Marce of Hey Brown Berry, and they have a beautiful staggered ribbing and then striping on the bottom. So it might be a little bit hard to see. I have one sock done. I decided to choose this warm gray-brown color that's heathered, pair it against a marled pink to blue gradient. I felt like it kind of went with the theme of rest and rejuvenation. It's a really nice fabric that comes together. The contrast isn't super stark, but you can see it a little bit better here in the striping part. I really like how that turned out. For the heel, I used the same as the cuff. And these ones are knit toe up. And you can see the textured part here. Nice and bumpy, I like it. So I've started the second one, you can see the toe here. I'm really enjoying the toe up method. I like that I can decide how long the leg will be later on. And some of that may just be dependent on how much yarn I have, so I'll weigh my yarn before I start, and then I know where the halfway point is, so then I have an idea of when to stop if I want to, let's say, use up the entire thing of the yarn, or just to make sure that I am on track with making the socks the same length. I'm just sitting in this sushi themed project bag that I also love. See the inside. The inside I made it chevron to kind of go with it too. I really like this one. So a lot of people talk about, oh, what's your favorite yarn? Who's your favorite indie dyer? I feel like I use a variety of different, partially to balance out budget-wise, because indie dyers, indie dyed yarn can get very pricey. It's worthwhile because they're fiber artists that deserve pay, and there's a lot of work that goes into preparing yarn and dyeing yarn and marketing it and selling it. But I also really enjoy going to just my craft store and picking up yarn that is at a lower price point there. And if you have Michaels around, they do sell a variety of yarns, in acrylic to cotton to wool and different blends all in between. The sock yarn that I've really enjoyed using are the Patons Kroy Socks. They come in 50 grams and they are 75-25% washable wool and nylon, and they usually come, I think, at $5.99 US for retail. But if you use your 40% off coupon, or sometimes they're 50% or even 60% off coupons, you can make a pair of socks for less than $10. If you're making really long ones, you probably want 2 of them. If you're making shorty socks, you could probably get away with just 1. So if you decide to make shorty socks and just buy 1, you can make a pair of socks for less than $5 with a coupon. And I think that is very worthwhile. And I feel like this yarn is kind of a workhorse yarn. It can withstand a lot of footwear, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I'm really enjoying that. Another one, a sock I wanted to share with you. I'm working on these super fun purple stripy socks for my daughter, who I am working on a week's worth of socks for her. I was hoping I would get them all done by Christmas, but I'm not sure that's going to happen, and that's okay. But these are really fun. It's in a self-striping yarn. Because the socks are so small in circumference, there's less stitches, so the stripes are wider, but it's really fun. And I did a heel flap gusset and then just a rolled cuff there. These ones I followed the Rose City Rollers pattern and just lengthened the cuff area. The toe, instead of following it for the littles pattern, I followed it for the adult pattern for a more rounded toe. As you can see, I'm wearing a lot of my knitwear. These fingerless mittens I finished a little while back. I've been wearing non-stop. It's really nice to have my fingers open so that they're easier to help kids zip up their jackets, easier for me to fumble around for my keys in my pocket, but they keep me warm. I recently have been playing violin at church, and my hands are so cold when I get inside. I actually just keep them on when I'm playing or practicing. So if they kind of get in the way, then I just fold that top part down so my fingers are a little more accessible, but otherwise they keep my hands so nice and warm. And because I knit them in sock weight yarn, they fold up really small, in my pocket, which is nice because then they don't take up a lot of space. But yes, I really love them. I'm getting kind of... It is the Gatsby shawl by Dawn Henderson at Dawn Landix. And this yarn is stunning. Look at that. It just looks like this giant cinnamon roll, maybe? Oh, it's so beautiful. It is by Lavender Loon Yarn Co. Samantha is the dyer. And this yarn is called Cedarleaf. It is 657 yards, 100% superwash BFL. BFL stands for blue-faced Lancaster? I should have probably checked that before I decided to tell you. So here is the start of the shawl. This progress keeper marks the front. Since it's garter, I like to be able to easily identify the front. There is a center spine here, so that helps also, but just having a bigger mark on which way the front is nice. So I really like how it's working up. The darker stripes on here right now remind me of a chocolate croissant. It's delicious. So I'm really excited about this pattern. There are little bobbles in the front. It's a triangular shawl. The printout isn't the best because our toner is running out, but we try to run it until it doesn't work anymore. So I love that. I really enjoy having a shawl that doesn't have a lot of lace work. I feel like lace work is really challenging for me because I need to be able to sit there and complete an entire repeat without being interrupted. I need to be able to count without being interrupted, and that's just kind of challenging with little kids around. You don't get a lot of uninterrupted time, so I kind of have to just go with it, and if I'm going to go with it, I have to pick projects that don't require too much concentration. Like color work, I can easily tell where a repeat starts and stops, or if I have to take a break somewhere, it's not as big of a deal as lace work, where the yarn overs aren't always as obvious, and if I had to rip back, it's hard for me to place the yarn overs in the right spot, I feel, when I'm ripping back or tinking with it to try to figure out where to go. So I'm really enjoying this pattern. It had a garter tab cast on, and there's garter, which I really enjoy. I haven't gotten to that bottom chevron section yet, but I think that'll be really fun, and the bobbles should be fun too. It'll be nice to learn another way to do bobbles, because I've only done bobbles one other time before. So I'm really enjoying it. I started it sometime in November, and maybe I'll have it done by end of January I'm shooting for. We'll see. I don't have any set deadline that I have to have for it, but it's kind of nice to have an idea in mind so that I keep track of my projects and get them done. Otherwise, it's so easy to just cast on more and more and more and then not have anything finished. Let's see, what is in this one? Oh, this is a hat. I cast it on. It is a gift. It is another Patons yarn. This one is self-striping and marled, and it is so beautiful in gray, brown, red, and I'm really liking how that is. I've only recently started it. There's the cuff. It's kind of fun to do a self-striping sock yarn in something that has a bigger circumference than a sock normally would. The stripes do then end earlier, but it has a nice staggered effect that I really enjoy. I made one other one that I've already gifted, and that one was a blue and gray marled yarn, and it turned out really nice. I really like that one, and the recipient really liked it too. So let me put this one away. I've got to get on that. I have, I think, 2 weeks to finish it, so I need to prioritize that one. Let's see. Now this sock, it's going to be hard to pick up because it's attached to lots of yarn. So this sock I am making up as I go. Let's see if I can hold it up to show you. Check that out. So my daughter, the older one, requested socks that looked like a snowy day. So this is what I decided to do. Snow on a sunny day is just very classic winter here. Although I would say it's not always sunny, but you really, really enjoy the sunny snow days when it's been gray for several days. The gray days are beautiful too, but the sun just makes the snow sparkle that much more. So I decided to go with a sunny cuff, a sunny heel. I'm in the middle of this heel part. And then I did this speckled white over this sky blue. And I haven't quite decided how the foot is going to be yet. I kind of don't want to continue the two-stranded knitting because I don't want her toes to get stuck when she's wearing them or like kind of caught. So I might just switch over to one of the colors. Here's the speckled. And then here's the tonal sky blue. And this is the tonal or semi-solid, I'm not quite sure, yellow, but it's so much fun. And that one, like I said, I'm kind of making up as I go. All right, one more. This one is not a work in progress, but it is a project that I have assigned to one of my project bags for casting on in 2020. If I have the opportunity, I hope to cast it on in January. Maybe even January 1st, I don't know. So this is for the Glass Houses Shawl by Kelly Munster. It uses slip stitches for the color work, and I've decided to use these beauties to make it. These two dyers, Adria and Christina, are so talented with their colors. Their colors are so saturated and they just make me so happy. Love it. These are both superwash merino 75/25 with nylon. They're both 463 yards at 100 grams. I think they will work up really beautifully together. When I choose yarn for projects, I don't always know what I want right away, but sometimes the colors go together, sometimes they don't. But this time I feel like I found the combination I really, really like. Since this multicolored one has areas where it's more one color than the next, if you made it into a sweater, you'd likely have some pooling, which some people are okay with and some people don't like. But I feel like these kind of yarns work really well in a shawl where pooling or not doesn't really matter, and it can create some really interesting effects. And I love that the fuchsia in this yarn matches up with this one. I think that'll be fun. And I decided to pick one that's more solid to go with this one that's more variegated and speckled so that there's a little more contrast for the pattern. So that I think will be a really fun cast on for 2020. A couple finished projects I'd like to share with you. I'm wearing one of them. This is the Free or Fade by Andrea Mowry. I did an entire episode on it, episode 5, to show off this finished project. I showed different ways of styling it, I talked about the details that I loved, and I am basically wearing it every day. This morning it was 9 degrees Fahrenheit and I have a lot of wool on right now. This is my, let's see if you can see it, my Sunset Highway sweater that I made over the summer, end of the summer I think. It is a fingering weight sweater with lovely long sleeves. Maybe I'll do a video on it another day, just on the sweater itself. I'm really enjoying making the single finished project videos to discuss more in detail the process of it, the things that I enjoyed making about it, how I came about choosing the colors and things like that. So maybe I'll start. I finished these socks that I talked a little bit about in a previous episode, I think. These are toe up, fleagle heel, and really long. They don't quite go up to my knees, but they are really, really nice and cozy. These are also the Patons Kroy Socks. They have their own gradient and they're marled and they're so cozy. And the two don't look the same. I used 2 separate 50-gram skeins for them. And the gradient is slightly different on each one and I love them. So they are very delightfully woolly and squishy and thick and so, so warm. Let's see here. Something that is fresh off the needles, freshly blocked, slightly damp, and ends not woven in. Usually I weave in the ends before I block, but I really wanted to see how this one would turn out. So I blocked it without weaving in all the ends. This is a sweater vest for my first grader who loves to layer like her mama, and it'll keep her nice and warm without having a ton of extra bulk. Sometimes it can be challenging when you have sleeves on sleeves on sleeves, so this vest will go perfect on some of the long sleeve shirts that she thinks maybe are a little plain, that she wants to jazz up a little bit, and it'll keep her also nice and warm. I really like the color blocking. I did it like this because I just had little bits remaining of each of these colors, and so I wanted to use them up. And then I had a lot of this light pink heathered yarn, so I made that the main part of it. So the back is higher. This one is knit from bottom up. And then just simple ribbing along all the edges. This pattern was from the More Last Minute Knitted Gifts book. I had gotten this from the library and I think I need to return it soon, so it's a good thing I finished. This pattern for the kids' vest shows it with a monogram. I'm deciding not to monogram it because eventually the younger sister will have to wear it, and I could monogram it because it's just duplicate stitch, and then once it gets passed on I can always remove the monogram and put in a new one. But I'm thinking I might just maybe duplicate stitch on a flower garden along the bottom, which I think could be really fun. But since that's not necessary, I will just let it dry, wrap it up, and call it done for now. And then maybe if my daughter wants to design the bottom, then I can show her how to do the duplicate stitch, and maybe she can even do it herself. So we shall see. That could be a fun project to do together. Oh, and I wanted to say that the shoulder seams used Kitchener stitch. I don't even know where it is. Somewhere on the top. But since having knit so many cuff down socks and having Kitchenered so many toes, this was easy peasy. It was basically the same thing. And I think it worked out really well. I could have been a little neater about my, is it increases or decreases there? Oh, decreases. Or just picked up my stitches for the collar so that I hid these. They're not quite the same on each side, but it doesn't bother me. I think it looks kind of like a neat detail on there. So I think that is it for all of my projects. Something funny is when I was recording some of my previous episodes, my toddler said, "Mommy, are you talking to yourself?" I thought, well, I kind of am. I kind of am talking to myself. And that's how I responded to her. And she said, okay, and then ran off. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. I just need to finish up and maybe start some more Christmas gifts in the next 2 weeks. It'll be busy. The kids have some holiday stuff going on at school that I need to be at, and it's just kind of wrapping up the end of the year. I can't believe it's already December 6th and it's going to be January soon. So I hope you are taking good care of yourself, and I hope that if you're sick, you get well soon. Tis the season for the sniffles and the coughing, but hopefully you stay healthy to wrap up the end of the year. And if my word of the year this year, which I like to do at the beginning of every year, is be, like B-E. I just really wanted to be in tune with how I was being. So if I wanted to be still, I was going to be still. If I wanted to be taking action, I wanted to just go take action. If I wanted to just be whatever, I would just be whatever. So that was my word for this year. My word for 2018 was listen, and that was to listen to my wants, my needs, the needs of others, but really just listen and tune in to what was going on around me and within me. I don't have a word picked out for 2020 yet. There have been some words that have really stuck with me throughout the last few months, and maybe one of those will be my word for 2020. You pick a word for each year. Not something that's like a goal or a resolution, but a word maybe that you would come back to refocus, or to journal about, or to create around. Cheers to being creative. I hope you have a lovely day, and if this does get posted on a Friday or this weekend, I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a lovely weekend. Take care.